All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, the very last Coffee Q&A of 2024. How you all doing? Welcome back to the show. And can you believe it? It's New Year's Eve. We're on the cusp of 2025 already. And I just feel like we just arrived at 2024. Is that crazy? So I'm just getting this glass nice and prepare everything with that. A little bit of crystal glass here for a little celebrating. Still looks a little bit dirty, but so what's going on? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A. This is the daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee channel. We do this pretty much every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we try to do it regardless of what's going on in the world. Famine, feast, war, or travel. We all try to keep it going. Mom, good morning to you, and Kione, aloha from Thailand. How are you, man? Aloha to you, Kione. And Kent says, hello, Jay and Coffee Friends. Hello to you, Kent. So today I thought we would do a couple of things because it's the end of the year. So I thought we'd look back on the Coffee Q&A and see just how we've done this past year. But also, I realized the other day that December 2024 really marks, or I guess, December 2024 really kind of marks the 5-year anniversary of me doing videos on YouTube, like doing them seriously. So I thought we'd have a little discussion about that and look back at some of the videos that we've done, mostly for the Coffee Q&A. But I do have another video coming out on this channel about, about the regular stuff. Anyway, but I thought let's do some canoeing, and let's do that. Anton, hello. And I know Keone says 2 hours till 2025 there. Oh, yeah, very nice, very nice. All right, so the question is, Can It Cano? So here's something called the Prima Pave Rosé Brut. This is alcohol-free sparkling wine. And what this is, it's a blend of different grape varietals, and they actually de-alcoholize the wine after it's done. It's not, of course, champagne. It is It is kind of like the spumante. Would they consider this a spumante in Italy? I don't really know the nomenclature for that, but so I got this is alcohol-free, so I got this from the alcohol-free store. I've actually had it for a little while, and I've been meaning to drink it, but I just never got around to it. And then I thought, let's do this for New Year's. And then I thought, well, maybe I should get out the big bottle, right? I was thinking about maybe if I busted out the big bottle for today's show, that would be kind of fun. But then I realized that, it's just going to be me drinking all by myself. And so we would go. So if I did that, we would go from celebratory to sad. Because if you're drinking a whole bottle by yourself, I feel that I'd be sad about it, right? So we want to keep things celebratory, right? And the nice thing about this is that since it's alcohol-free, I won't be like moping around. Oh man, I had to drink a whole bottle by myself. So let's get into this a little bit here. Anton says 8 hours to go for Germany, and my friend from Norway already wrote 4 hours ago. Oh, well, for Norwegians, they're very ahead of the game. I guess that's what it's all about, right? So, Maku, happy New Year's Eve to you as well. And Kione, in April, it will be year 2568. Those guys are ahead too. Those guys are 2560. What year is it in China? China has they're like a year, I don't know, 15,000 or something like that. Is that right? All right, so let's get a baseline and test out what this Rosé Brut will taste like. So we want to see what this like. It does have a crown cap, so really easy for us to remove. Just going to grab our what do you call this? Our can opener. Oh God, that's not working. What's going on here? Wow, that's really difficult. It's either really difficult or this is going to break. I think this is going to break. This Festool is not very, what's going on, Festool? How about this one? Let's go for real bartenders kind of work. This is actually more of a kitchen style can opener, right? For number 10 cans, like this is just going to puncture. Wow, that's surprisingly difficult to remove. All right, so we've got it open here. And let's pour. Nice bubbles, right? Look at that bubbles, nice bubbles. The nose is kind of weird. Apricot-y, buttery, but there's a weird, like almost fermenty kind of smell to it, but like early fermentation, right? Like, so it's kind of funk. Crisp, clean, apples, apricots. I mean, actually, that's pretty darn good. Certainly is a departure from the Martinelli's apple cider, sparkling apple cider. But not terribly different than a lot of, like, you know, champagne style wines I've had. It has that kind of crispness, that little bit of like acidic burn to it that really kind of is the hallmark of a dry, brut kind of champagne. Actually, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised. At how fun that is, how actually surprisingly good. So, but now the question is, you know, if you have this, yes, you get the effect, the experience of drinking champagne. But I think when you have champagne, there's a certain celebratory aspect that when you imbibe enough champagne, that the alcohol liberates you, right? You're a little bit more happy. You're a little bit more party mode, right? You won't get that effect with this. You'll just get the flavor of like an experience of drinking champagne. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Anton says, I bet you could open the bottle on the group head of your... I bet I could. Beat the heck out of that thing. That thing is a brute. All right, speaking of the espresso machine, we're going to go and do some espressoing to make this into a Cano. And we'll see Can It Cano today. All right, so let's go to the espresso machine. Oh, I got to open the camera. I got to wait for it to come up and heat up and all that. So how is everyone? What are you guys planning? I know some of you are already, like Kyoti's on the cusp of celebrating 2025, and the rest of us are kind of like waiting till the evening. But any plans you guys going out? Are there parties you're going to be attending? I personally am going to be going to my cousin's house. She's having just a gathering. I wouldn't say it's a party, but just a bunch of people, a bunch of us getting together because really we had no other plans. So. All right, she's like, all right, let's go do something. All right, that's good. I don't really... In some respects, I don't want to go out on New Year's. It's kind of like I got to drive, and then who knows what's going to happen. Of course, to get to her house, I have to drive to the countryside, which is probably worse, right? Because now you got country folk who are drinking and driving after midnight, and it's like, oh God. You know, they say like in the French countryside that there's the motor accidents are worse because they like to drink in the countryside. So I'm kind of concerned here, George Brightman says, what's going on, George? I think Spumante is typically from Asti. Ah, gotcha. I believe Pave uses the phrase bubbles without the booze. Maybe the secret process leave behind. Yeah, it's just on the nose. There's a strange tone on the nose. Wait, it's actually kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun. In any case, Happy New Year to all. Best wishes for 2025. Same right back at you. And okay, so let's have a look at our espresso machine. We got everything ready to go. We have our espresso. It's all heated. We're not going to go too much into, if you have questions about espresso making or coffee making, as always, ask away. Ask away. I will do my best to answer. We're going to, like we talked about yesterday, there's coffee in here. We're going to purge it out. That's probably good enough. Maybe it wasn't so good yesterday, but today it's going to be much, much better. So, this is the problem when you don't maintain your equipment. This thing has like silicone right in here, right? I need to re-silicone it because right now it's just friction and every once in a while it flies off. It's quite distressing. Okay, so here's our portafilter. We need to wipe out our portafilter. And we're going to flush, right? Because the machine's now been sitting for like 2 hours since I turned it on. So whatever water's in the pathway, the brut pathway, through the heat exchange boiler is now superheated. So we're going to flush it out. And you can kind of hear the noise, right? So we want to like flush through that, let it calm down. That should be good. And then now we're going to grind. That's probably good right there. And again, we just look at the different, how does it mount? Like this one, sometimes you get really high peaks. This is kind of like Appalachian Mountains. We don't have the Matterhorn today. We've got the Appalachians, right? So just kind of want to just generally move it around to see. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, Keone left a message on yesterday's comments saying that he got the Weber portafilter and the unifilter and liked it and he's if you look at the comments from yesterday, he reports that there has been good improvement in the quality of his espresso because of it. So, okay, I got it. I'm open to all possibilities. I may think of it with dubious, I may look at it with some dubiousness, but I will be open to all. I mean, if it works, right? I can't know everything. Keone knows this one saying that's very popular, or at least it was popular. I don't know if it still is popular, but in Hawaii, there's a saying that I can't remember the exact Hawaiian phrasing, but basically translated to English, it basically says that not all knowledge resides in one house. And that is something that's always kind of stuck with me. So no matter how much I might know or might have learned, I can't know everything, right? And so that's why I've always been open to what everybody else has to offer and of their knowledge, because the only way to learn is really to be open to everyone's input on things, right? Okay, so here we're ready. We're going to flush one more time just because I like to flush. And again, remember how I was saying, let me put this down here. I was saying yesterday, you can, once you load and lock, the next thing is hit the button, right? And you're going to see that there's going to be enough time for you to do a bunch of things in between pressing this button and having to have the cup or whatever vessel you're using to catch the espresso beneath it. So we're going to lock it in, and I'm going to press the button. And now look, I'm just taking my time. I'm going to even I'm going to wipe this down, and look at that. Oh, now it's falling. So how many seconds passed before it actually fell? Now, it looks like we're running a little bit fast, so I think we're a little bit low on the amount of coffee. We're going to stop it there. So that is not what we want to. I mean, this is a little bit heavy. Look at that. There's some interesting coloration. Let's come over here. And there it is. Keone says, yes. Gosh, it's been so long. Ohe ike ika halau ho'okahi. Halau is the term for house. Ho'okahi. I'm not going to translate anything because it's been such a while since I've said anything. Dylan's has retracted his message, but he's asking, do you weigh your coffee once in a while? Typically, I'm really shooting for 21 grams. Yesterday, we were hitting 23. I'm not terribly worried about that in modern times. In my younger days, I was 21. Always 21. I've always been a 21 gram kind of person. All right, let's have a look at this. So a little bit of reddish brown crema. So it looks not bad. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I thought it ran a little bit fast. I would like it to be a little bit slower. A little bit astringent. I'm not terribly... I think it could be better. It could be better. George said that champagne lifts your spirits. That's true. That's true. That's true. And Anton says, overall, I personally feel like 2024 was not as bad as the previous years. This would end the trend of every year being worse. Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. I hope that 2025 is better than 2024. I think for me, some of the peaks in my life were like when I was 25 years old. Something about being 25 was like awesome. Like I remember 25 was so awesome that almost up until the time I was 30, people would ask my age, and my first response would be like, "Oh, 25? Oh, no, I'm not 25. I'm 27 now. Oh no, I'm 28." You know. But then after 25, you know, everything was good. Everything's always been very good. I've always enjoyed my time. I thought 2007 was like a banner year. Like that was just like so much. Like I learned so much and about life, about coffee, about the world, about, you know, I met a woman, a really great woman back then. And I was like, really just, that was a great year. That was a great year. Every year after that has been good. Some years were rougher than others, but some were fine. You know, it comes and goes. It comes and goes. Dylan's asking, how do you dial in if you don't know how many grams and no time? Well, you know, it's all about the feel, right? So, unlike yesterday, so let's even try. We'll try this. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see what happens, because who knows if I'm going to do it or not? Because, you know, I trained a lot of baristas, and we would do things like, I would tell them, okay, this is our standard 21 grams. And, you know, I would make the coffee and I would demonstrate 21 grams. And of course, back, you know, in those instances, so let's go a little bit here. So here's some of this kind of correlates to tie into what you're asking, right? So I'm looking at, first of all, we're watching this as we put the coffee, we're doing all the coffee preparation. We're also pulling the shot. We're watching how the coffee comes out, right? So it's all about a judgment call about, does the coffee perform the way that we're expecting? So how does the coffee look as it comes out? And then after that, like the big difference between myself as a professional or any professional working barista versus the home enthusiast is that we don't have necessarily the opportunity to taste what we're preparing. Right? Because you don't want me to taste this before you taste it, right? So we have to use visual cues. We have to use things that will kind of indicate to us the quality of the coffee. This crema is actually pretty darn good, because how long has it been now? Several minutes that we've been dabbling. It really has, it's getting maybe thin right there, but it hasn't broke. And I've already sipped it like twice. So that's actually really great. Then we have things like this, like we want to look at the puck, right? How is the condition of the puck? How dry is it? How firm? This is nice and firm. You can also see the indentation from the dispersion screen. Those are all very positive qualities. Then, you know, if we want to knock it out, right? Ideally, it'll come out like this, nice and full, like a nice cookie, right? And if we wanted to really get more into it, we could break it open and see the dispersion pattern. Like, is it all even and consistent throughout? In this case, it is. So that's actually pretty nice. I'm a little bit surprised that I was able to make it that nice. Okay, let me just wipe up a little bit here. One of the key battles in anything professional or even at home is to keep your station clean and orderly. I know another thing that we're looking at also, Dylan, is that I will look at the portafilter, right? So here, look at the portafilter basket. We're looking for residual oils. How much residual oils are left? There's maybe faint traces here. I'm really kind of struggling to see that, but maybe there's some faint traces. And what this tells us is that the presence of the oils or the lack of oils, like in this case, we really have a lack of oil. And this tells me that the shot was stopped at the right moment, meaning that we've extracted all the beauty, as much of the beauty of the coffee as we should. Because if it's under extracted or it's over extracted, we will have residual oils. But there is that, so you're under extracting, there's going to be residual oils if you stopped at them. Then it reaches the point of like, ooh, I've given you all that I could. That's coffee say. And then it gets to the point where you're taking too much, and then there's residual oils left. And how do you know the difference? Is that you just have to know, like if you look at it, like there are oils, you kind of have to understand your whole process in order to know whether it was under or over. And then you could taste it. Or then if you're at home, you can taste it and be like, okay, well, that was like, evidently, we have taken everything that the coffee wants to offer. As it's cool, it's a little bit better, but it's not quite what I like, right? It is kind of nice. It's got good body. It's got good mouthfeel. It's nice and thick. The crema is like super. Like I can't believe how thickly that's been holding on. So Anton says by taste. So a lot of it is about taste, and well, there's two sides, right? Like I was saying, the professional barista side, we don't get to taste. We can taste shots leading up to the shots we're serving to the guest, but we can't taste the actual. It would be weird to be tasting the actual beverage we're serving because that's a weird thing, right? But in the case of a home enthusiast like yourself, you're totally drinking what you're preparing. So the more you do that, and the more you think about the different parameters that are involved with your espresso preparation, the more you can correlate, cause and effect of each aspect of your coffee making, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. Does that make sense? I don't even know if I'm talking anymore. And Anton says that he has plenty of experience. I have a lot of experience. It's true. And like I've said in the past, this is the big difference between, like, Hoon and I will talk about this, and he'll ask me, well, how do you know all that? And I said, the biggest difference between someone like myself, who's a working professional and has worked behind the bar for many, many years, and the home enthusiast is that it's just a matter of experience. It's just a matter of quantity of shots being pulled or coffees being prepared within a time frame, right? So let's say you take your average workaday barista, right? That person is going to be making, let's say they work in a decent cafe. Let's say they make 50 shots a day. So 50 shots a day, let's say they work 5 days a week. They're making 250 shots a week. Right. So that's 250 times they get to pull the shots, look at it, see if it, maybe talk to the customer and engage their reaction and see, did they enjoy it? Did they not like it? Maybe have that conversation with them. What did you like? What you didn't like? Maybe it's not always, but you get that experience. Whereas the home enthusiast, how long will it take for the average home enthusiast to make 250 shots? It will take a bit longer time-wise because, if you're only making 2 shots a day, maybe 5 shots a day, and, I would imagine that 5 espressos is a lot more than most people want to drink in a day, in an entire day. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't like to drink too much coffee myself, so it's a little bit hard for me to judge, but I think that, and to me, that's the big difference, is that the enthusiast just doesn't have as much time in the saddle as the professional, just because of the nature of what you do. And just like whatever you do in your non-coffee side of life, professionally, you're probably an expert at it by now, right? Because you're doing it every day. You're constantly repetition, and you're like, okay, I can talk about this and be the expert in it. But when you're doing something as a hobby, you just don't get as much repetition. That's really, to me, that's really the biggest difference, right? Yeah, Peter says, I'm at the place you were talking about. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. I'm not sure which. Oh, that place. Oh, you're at Tricia's place? If you are, tell her I said hello if she happens to be there. Send her my regards. I love that girl. Dylan says, I've always been taught to not see the indentation of the shower screen because it is scalding your puck. Okay, so here's, I don't know where that theory comes from, but, and I'm sure you mean scalding rather than scald, right? You naughty puck, you should not be doing those kind of things. You should not be touching me. But, so let's say it is the scalding, right? Remember, here's the thing, like we have our group head, right? I'm not sure what kind of group head you might have, but this is the an E61 Faima style group head, right? So it's heated and I don't know if it's necessarily saturated, but it's really thick and meaty and brass, and it's all like it holds the temperature. What people love about this, it holds the temperature, right? And just has this thermal mass. Now, it's all like let's say the highest it's going to be is 212 degrees, right? Or maybe whatever you set this to, like maybe 205 Fahrenheit, maybe 98 Celsius. This dispersion screen, right? Like it's not that hot. Like I can't keep my finger on the dispersion screen. No, I can't keep my finger on the group head, like touching the side of the, well, that's really hot, as I can on the dispersion screen. Because remember, the dispersion screen has a little bit of an air, and now I'm totally like theorizing this, right? But the dispersion screen has a little tiny, you've got the block, right? There's usually there's usually a thermal block, right? Let me see if I got an extra dispersion screen somewhere. Oh, crap. Oh gosh, everything's like falling apart here. Happy New Year. Ah, yes. I think there's one right here. No, that's furs. Well, let's just use these as they'll just be standing. Ouch. That's furs too. Okay, forget it. Okay, so, ow. So let's say that this is a dispersion block that's actually up here inside your group head, and let's pretend that this is a dispersion screen that you're either, like in this case, it friction fits in with a gasket around the block, right? So there's actually an air gap between the base, because typically this is going to be brass and it's got a bore in it that the water flows out of, and then that's why there's the dispersion screen, because the water comes out and this dispersion screen disperses the coffee over the bed of in your portafilter, right, in your basket. So there's a air gap between the two. They're not actually they're not physically touching like this. There's actually a gap, and that gap is part of the reason why I can put my finger here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, where here 1 2, oh shit, that's hot. I can't even hold it for 2 seconds. So there's if I had my IR thermometer, I would be able to show you, but there is a significant temperature variance between the surface of your dispersion screen and the actual metal meat of the group head. So the idea that screen will scald and negatively affect your coffee seems a bit far-fetched to me, right? I've actually never heard of anyone talking about that kind of theory in coffee. And I don't think that you see if you can try it yourself, touch it and see how, is it really that hot? Because it's not really that hot. And remember that, when it's not, I don't think that's going to happen. Right? I don't think it is. I mean, taste is the true arbiter, right? That's really the thing that I always talk about, is like, you want to taste everything and know the difference in your taste, right? Nilan says maybe too much coffee. So too much coffee. Well, so here's kind of the base theory that I work with. And it's basically like we try to teach our baristas that we want them to control all their parameters as much as possible, meaning the way that they temp, everything, all the technique they do, even to the amount of coffee they're putting in, which is why we always say 21 grams. Because we want it to all be consistent, right? So that the amount of coffee, the way that we prepare the coffee is relatively consistent. That way, when you do have issues, the only thing that the first thing you need to look at, hopefully the only thing you will have to look at will be the way your grind setting, right? Because, for example, like let's say you've got a problem with your shot, right? It's not pulling for whatever reason. If you're always using those same techniques to prepare it, as well as the same quantity of coffee, the only variable that you're leaving to be varying is the grind setting. Now, if you don't have everything under control, and you put in 21 one time, put in 18 the next, and then you temp with different pressures, you distribute your coffee differently. Now you've got so many other factors that are in flux that even if you're thinking, I'm going to change the grind. This is why some people spend minutes and setting, because it's not just the grind, everything around it, right? Because now you've got multiple that are out of control that you need to control. So when we train baristas, we're very adamant on the new baristas as they're learning that they have to get the techniques of preparation really tight, so that and it's very, training with me is very painful. Typically it takes a long time and it's very painful but I think by the time you're done, or by the time the baristas are done, they're solid baristas. They're solid, they know their stuff, and they can like totally whip it out. But I know they're hating it. There's days I know they're hating it. But I try to keep in mind that the reason that I need to inflict the pain now is so that the pain is less later, right? If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. Anton says, now I want to see your cupboard. And Dylan says, I'd love to try your coffee, man. Let me know where I can get it. And then taste is definitely the best way. Yeah, taste is definitely the way to go. I think that taste is ultimate, is really the only thing that matters. Like we spend so much, even on the professional setting, people spend so much time talking about all these things to do. And I'm just like, how does it taste? Because I don't really care. Like I don't really care. As an operator, as a barista, I don't really care about the technique part so much, right? Like I want to know what will make our guest excited. Like how I describe the experience that we want for our guests to our staff is that, and I try to put it in very simple terms, we want the guests to leave from their visit feeling stoked that they came here today. And I tell them, however you can achieve that, that's the goal. Whatever you need to do, there's nothing outside of the realm of possibility. If they need a car, you need to call them a car. Call them a car. I don't care. Do it. Let's get it. Let's make it happen, right? So, yeah. I think that to me that's really super important. And then Dylan's asking, what ratio do you use at your shop? So a ratio, I never thought of things in terms of ratio, and I didn't and I never really, because my friends would talk about things, 17 to 1 or 1 to 17, 1 to 16, and I was just like, dude, that's just too much. That's just too much thinking for me, man. Like, it's like with measuring, like in woodworking, like I don't use imperial, because I'm just like, that's just 7 4/16 or whatever, 30 seconds. I'm like, and now I have to divide it. I don't want to, I can't even think I can't think that way, right? It's just too much brain power. I just don't really want to expand the brain power. So all I do is think about it. And so that's why I use millimeters in woodworking. But in coffee, we've just broke it down to really simple terms, really. So for example, with like brewing ratios, it's typically, this is not always true, but typically, the base recipe that we use is 2 grams for every finished ounce of coffee. So if I need to make a 10-ounce cup, 20 grams. If I need to make a 12-ounce cup, 14 grams. If I need to make a gallon, 256 grams, right? So we just ratio that way. Now, it is a mixture of imperial and metric, which is, if you want to stump me, then you're like, well, how much do you need to put in, like 400 milliliters of water? Well, I don't know. Now you're like, now I have to convert it because we don't think of it that way because in service, we think of servings in terms of ounces. So preparation. So it's a little bit confusing. Now, when I finally got this fellow Tally Pro SE, and I punched in the amount of coffee and how much water I wanted to use in the brew assist, it told me that we're actually at a ratio of 1 to 14.5. So that's evidently the ratio that we're using. So hopefully that answers what you're asking here. And Dylan says, I always get a 1 to 2 ratio in 26 to 30 seconds and use this as a baseline. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, you're talking about that. So I see, here's the thing. Like I see a lot of baristas, especially in the competition world, that talk about 18 in, let's say 18 in, 36 out, that 1 to 2 combination. That just irritates me as a judge, right? Like what I wanted to do, and nobody would support this. Like everybody was against me on this. But I'm like, if you're a competitor and you want to tell me that you're using 18 to 36, then I want our technical judge to measure that. And I want you to be docked for it because this is something you should know and you should be able to control. And I would watch them. As the head judge, I get to see most of everything. And I'm like, these guys are like nowhere near hitting those numbers. It's like some guys are 40, some guys are, it's just like, this is just, I was like, all of it is just talk, right? And so when it comes to that, do we do a 1 to 2? Maybe a 1 to 2, but really, here's the whole thing. So when I'm looking at espresso, I'm looking at the portafilter, right? And how it's coming out of here and how it performs coming out of here is almost the entire game for me, right? So it's already been prepared. You've already tamped it. Once you've tamped it, you're done. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You're committed. So just might as well roll with it. So you've tamped, and then now you're watching the flow. And hopefully, so now here's the thing. We do have some parameters that we want to set for our coffee, right? So for our espresso, we determined that ideally we want to brew it at 201.5 degrees. Or somewhere around there. And then we want to have 1.5 to 2 ounces total volume. And we want that to be dispensed within 25 to 29 seconds. This is the ideal numbers for that. Now, once it gets rolling, you kind of like go with the flow, right? So it kind of, the coffee talks to you. So this is how I see it, right? So coffee, you hit the button and it builds pressure. Water starts to saturate the puck. And it goes down, right? It's saturated. So this is the puck. It's saturating. And finally, it hits the screen, the basket screen, and starts to come out. And then comes to the bottom, and then comes out of the spouts. Now, when it comes out of the spouts, it should be really thick and syrupy, right? And slow and kind of brown and dark and like, just kind of oozing. And it just falls, right? Falls. And we're watching, and then it starts to get a little bit more flowy. You're like, okay. And it'll get a little bit more blonde maybe, right? You're like, oh, good. Now from here, we're watching, because there's going to be a couple telltale signs that tell me when the coffee is finished. The coffee talks to me. The coffee is talking to you, right? You just have to, it's just like, men and women. The woman is talking to the man. The man just doesn't know how to listen. Like God knows I don't know how to love. I'm like, I don't understand. She's like, I want you to love me. I don't understand. Like, what kind of language are you speaking? So the coffee is talking. Right? The coffee is telling us a story. We just have to be able to interpret it. So as it's falling, it's getting a little bit looser, right? Because there's more of the stuff is being extracted out of it and pushed already into the cup, so that it's getting looser, right? There's less resistance because there's more extraction has already happened. So there's a point where you're going to see the stream flutter. Done. done. That flutter means that we're almost done. Okay, maybe not necessarily, but almost done. You're going to have to play with it a little bit more and see. But when that flutter happens, you know you got to almost stop, because then you can look here, right here at the bottom of the cup. When the flutter happens is right when you're going to start to see blonding develop. The little blondes will start to pool. Once the blonde comes, you're finished, done, stop, don't go any further. It doesn't matter what your numbers are, how much volume you put out, doesn't matter how much like liquid you've measured on your silly little scales. You don't need the scales. Forget the scales. I mean, the scales are just a good reference point. Now, how do the scales work and how does the time work all together? Hopefully, and this is what we try to do, right? We just do by volume. We want to see a good amount of volume. So in this kind of cup, we want to see about this much volume at minimum, maybe all the way to the top like we had here. That's an acceptable range because this is only a 3-ounce cup. But now the part is what we want to see. We want to see this fluttering happen, which means it's time to stop somewhere between 25 to 29 seconds. And we want to see it at 1.5 to 2 ounces of total volume, which means that if you wanted to scale it and you're doing 18 to 36 and you've determined your time frame, right? So let's say this is my recipe, 21 and 40, 42. We'd want to see the 42, we'd want to see the fluttering occur right at 40 grams or so, right? And between 24 to 30 seconds, 25 to 29 seconds. That's kind of how we try to tailor it. So we have the different parameters that we think that are ideal for the shot. And then we have the indications when the shot is finished. We want all of that to come together within that little framework. And typically, if you could do that, and you know your coffee well enough, you should have really awesome, like it should be like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is just good, even though it looks fabulous. So that's kind of my thought on it. Maku says, anything new for Spro in 2025? Any new beans? Well, I haven't really been looking to get beans lately because, we just haven't had the volume to go through them. So it's difficult to go to my producer and be like, hey, I just need like a half a bag. Can you ship it to me? So that doesn't fly too. I mean, I could certainly have good relationships with them. I could definitely go to some of them and buy coffee in that way, but it just becomes very cost ineffective at that point. As we get rolling again with retail this coming year, we'll definitely be getting more coffees. And, the new harvest, the harvest is starting to come in now in Central America. So we'll see what they have to offer this coming year, but still trying. And I think for Spro, what I've been thinking about what we're going to do, and I think we're going to do a little more education type of work, more classes for consumers and for anyone interested in different approaches to coffee. So if you have ideas of types of coursework that would be helpful for you, let me know what those are, because I would be very interested to know. Maybe to stage them here, or maybe even do online courses would be something that's always within the possibility. Because we've had some delays with our build out, I've had time to reconsider the design of the space, and I think we're gonna. While I was thinking about this really large, massive bar, I think we're gonna reduce the size of that so we can affect a more education-focused space, because I think that would be a little bit more interesting for people. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. Dylan says that I always get 1-to-2 ratio in 26 to 30 seconds and uses it. Yeah, exactly. Totally. I think that's totally a great way to approach making espresso. Oh yeah, man. Anytime. I'm always happy to offer my thoughts, no matter how foolish they may actually be. Yeah, it gets better as it gets cooler. Okay, so let's see how this goes with the Prima Pave. Now, one of the issues that we would have is that we can't really take this fluted glass and put it, well, I guess we could. Yeah, we could do that. We're going to do that. We're going to take that and pull the shot directly into it. So we need to clean up our portafilter here a little bit. It's a little bit dirty. Nice. We're going to grind some more coffee. Oh, you know what I was going to do? Let's put that back. We're going to put that back because since Dylan was asking about this, and since he was challenging me on this, I thought let's weigh and let's see what we do. Let's actually measure this for today. 580.5. We're still very consistent with that. Let's go here and dose our coffee. So here's a good example. This time we put more coffee, so it's a lot higher. There's a little bit of clumping there, a little bit of clumping there. It's kind of a higher, it's kind of mounded this way, so there's a little bit more of a divot. There's actually a divot below the level here. So we just need to make sure that we're going to distribute around. So I just do it like this. Now we've got a lot of coffee in here, so we're gonna get rid of some of that. About that much is probably good. No, that's good. Don't want to overthink it. Then, of course, we're going to level it out. Make sure that it's all level all the way around. Tamp and twist. Now we've got a clean puck. Now let's go back and see where we are. 22. Ooh, close. I should have cut off a little bit more. Then I'd be like victorious. Like when I would do this demonstration for my staff and I was training them, they would tell them 21. You know, I'm instructing, so I'm very calm, very collected. And I would like do this, put this thing on the scale, and 99.9 times, and I was actually working a lot more. So it's probably that's why it would turn out 21. And like, you know, everything, my staff would always be impressed. They were like, "Oh, that's amazing. How do you do that?" I'm like, so, of course. But really, every time that I went to put it on, I was like, oh crap, is it going to work? All right, good. So today, 22, not too bad, not too far off our target of 21. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to pull that off, and we're going to try to angle the cup to put, we need to put some Primo Pave in here. All right, so there, we're going to put that much. Now, one of the things I am concerned about, because as we've discovered with this series of Can It Cano, whenever we have carbonated beverage, there's always a tremendous amount of fuzziness. So let's see what happens, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to lock and load, hit the button, and then angle the cup underneath to see if we can, let me zoom in. Can I zoom in a little bit more without losing? Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we're gonna then see, and now you can't see the flow, but you know, we'll see what happens. So flush that out, make sure that's nice and clean running. Now, like I said, you don't have to be too crazy about the time. As long as you packed it well, it's gonna come under, but I gotta make sure that I'm catching the flow. Oh, there it is. Now it's exploding in, look at that. You can see it's exploding as far as volume. Oh no, I'm running out of space. I gotta stop because it's overflowing. This is just so ridiculous. Like, what in the world are we thinking here? Look at that. That is not so appetizing looking. All right, maybe a photo for the thumbnail. So there's a lot of foaminess. And again, we're back to the foaminess. Like with this kind of like, it's just ugly foam. Like that's ugly foam. It doesn't look appetizing, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it does to you. You tell me if it does to you. Maku says that the ratio can change a lot depending on the basket. For example, high extraction baskets need a lot less time. Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. It's now like an ice cream cone. All right, let's see. It's kind of strange, bright, kind of like champagne-y. The foam is warm, which means it's kind of weird. I'm not used to drinking warm or to tasting warm foam. Well, one thing I will say, this is a flavor experience. I actually look at this. It looks, at least in the light, for me, let me see if I can recreate it on the screen here for you. But from my perspective, it may not look so much like that there, but if you look maybe here, now look at that. It looks kind of like milk chocolate, doesn't it? It doesn't taste like milk chocolate. Like it tastes, well, let's see. I mean, it's not bad. It's like a little bit astringent espresso champagne-y. Not terrible. Actually, not very, I don't like the foam. I don't like this foamy foam stuff. Let's get rid of this foamy foam. I think the foam is very, it occludes my enjoyment of the beverage. Okay, so that's got a little bit less of it, right? So there's a little bit less of it now. Dylan says, it's like we are in a science. Every once in a while, it's like this. Marcus says, I drink that at midnight. Okay, Marcus, you should definitely go get some of this. Yeah? But at midnight, you should do it with, you know what I would like to do with, and this, I know some of you, those of you who are like champagne aficionados will probably want to like hang me for this, but I would like it with Asti Spumante. I love Asti Spumante. Since I was like young and in high school, I always liked the Spumante because it was sweet and fun. And, you know, champagne, it depends on the champagne. Like a lot of champagne, Dom Perignon it's okay. Like all these champagnes are okay. You know, they're just too astringent for me, right? But there's one champagne. If you ever have the chance to try it, I highly recommend it. It's super difficult to find now. There's a champagne, a little tiny champagne house in the Champagne region called Jackson, Jacqueusson, Jackson. I think that's right. And their cuvées, they release not by year, like not 2022, 2021, they release it by vintage number. So they've assigned numbers, succeeding numbers to their vintages. There's one called the 739. Oh my gosh. Like I always question whether I liked champagne or not. Like I've had some good ones, like a Bollinger's pretty good. There's another one that I tried, maybe Ruina, that I kind of liked. I was my friend was opening a restaurant. So he asked me to come to the tasting with his wine rep. And the guy busted out this bottle of 739 Jackson. And I was like, okay. It's like the champagne, you should try it. All right. I mean, I'm willing to try it. I haven't found the champagne that I really grooved with, right? But I tasted this 739 and I was like, oh my God, this is the champagne I've been dreaming of. Like I've never tasted it since. I was like, oh my God. It was so good that I left. I said to the rep, I said, who sells this? And he's like, oh, the Wine Source in Hamden, which is right down the street from my shop. And I was like, okay, I gotta go. I left the restaurant, which is in downtown Baltimore. I drove straight to the Wine Source and I went to Casimir and I was like, Casimir, where is this 739? He's like, here it is. I was like, how much is left? We have one bottle. I will buy, no, you have two bottles of, I will buy all the bottles. I was like, I'll buy everything you have. And then they never got it again. And I haven't seen it for sale ever since. So if you have, now I've had the 744, the 745, and they're nice. But they didn't speak to me in the way the 739, like the 739 spoke to me in such a guttural way. I was like, oh my God, I gotta have more. So if you're interested in a wine that I think is really, and a champagne that I think is really fabulous, the Jackson 739, if you can find it, man, I highly recommend it. I would love to hear, if you get some, your experiences with it and what you think about it. This, so it's not bad. I would like it to be sweeter. I think if it was sweeter, it'd be more fun. Like I think sweet can be fun, and I think it should be embraced. Like even in coffee, it's okay to have something sweet. I'm liking it more without the foam. But I guess we should talk about a little bit what, since it is 5 years of doing this live stream. We got a few minutes left, so I thought I looked up online and looked to see the history of the Coffee Q&A live stream. And it turns out that we started doing, what's going on here? Is it not working now? I had it working. No, it's not. That's how it is. I had it working, and then when I finally need to go to it, it doesn't work. Let me see if I can reconnect. This is the interesting thing about live streams. There's always something going wrong. Like typically it's my error, and like what happened was I had the computer connected to the switcher, and everything was fine. And the computer went to sleep, and then now that I rewoke it, it does not connect anymore. Anyway, so we'll just look back here. Maybe I'll just do it on this screen. Would I make this again? No. Well, I mean, if somebody was interested, we would, but maybe as a novelty. I don't know, maybe on the new menu, at the new bar, at the new coffee bar, maybe. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're doing all these Can It Cano series, to see like what can we mix with it. Plus, we're also playing around with a lot of these non-alcoholic type of drinks, because then we don't have to worry about the cost and problems that come with having a liquor license. Anton says you should have seen the ketchup latte. Definitely a low point. Definitely we're trying to get views and grab on to sponsors. My desperate attempt to get Heinz to sponsor the show. Okay, so I started doing the Coffee Q&A live stream. Turns out on July 13th, 2022. So we've been doing this for over 2 years. But in the early days of 2022, in the early days of this live stream, I didn't really do it that often. Like, started out doing it like fairly regularly, actually maybe once a week. So from July 13th, 2022, every few days we would do one. Not necessarily did it one the 13th, the 18th, the 21st, and August 2nd, August 5th, August 8th, August 13th, August 15th, August 17th, the 19th, the 23rd. So actually we're doing it fairly regularly, a couple times a week, looks like. Into September 2022. And then even while I was traveling, so we went from September, then October, we only did one from Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia for that. And then I ended up in the next month in November 22 out in Hawaii. So we did a couple of live streams from Hawaii, trying coffee at the different hotels that I was staying in. And then where'd we go? Then back, just a little bit more. So actually in November, did quite a few that month, surprisingly. And then back to December, we were back again we were back in Saudi Arabia at the beginning of December. And then by the middle of December, did U.S. Coffee Championship. So a little bit more sporadic, but trying to keep it somewhat regular. At least maybe trying to do, on an average, maybe once a week was back then. Kent says the ketchup latte sounds awesome. I don't remember if I liked it anymore. Like, it was definitely weird. I think I did like it. Is that right? What do you remember, Anton? I don't remember these things. So, and then we finally got to January 2023 and still trying to keep, looks like we're trying to keep a regular pace on the stream. So January, then February, 3 in February. So maybe almost once a week. And then some cases, they turned out to be not just like about coffee, but also about, like when we would do most of the mainline videos on the channel appear on Saturday morning. So I was trying something where we do these live streams before the premiere of the video. I guess that turned out all right. Yeah, so yeah, a couple in February, a couple in March, 3 in April, 3 in May, 2023, May, June. Yeah, not too, so maybe a couple a month. And then finally, I thought by the time we got to August of 2023, I thought that let's start to, so this is all, so all throughout 2023, I think that's 2022, 2023, that's kind of where I first met Hoon, was in 2022 when we were in Boston. And we were just, for some reason, we got in contact. And what I really liked about Hoon's channel was, at the time, I think he was at 130,000 subscribers. I was like, wow, man, how did this guy get to 130,000 subscribers? How can I do that? And I was watching his videos, and he's like always doing live streams. Like if you know Hoon's channel, Hoon's Coffee, you see that he does live streams like twice a day. And they're a little bit more helter-skelter in that he doesn't really have a set time. He just kind of like, I feel like live streaming and let's go, right? So he's out there like twice a day talking about coffee. And I noticed that, I think maybe we might have even talked about this. And he was like, and I think he was telling me that, part of what bolstered his channel numbers was doing daily live streaming. And I was like, maybe we should do daily live stream. But I was like, I wanted to, like before, like in 2022 and the early part of 2023, I don't think I really scheduled them. I think it was just more about like, let's just do it. Like I got an idea, let's go, right? But by the time we got to August, I reached a point where I was like, okay, let's start doing regular live streams and let's schedule them at a certain time so that we can, so that people can know when to expect it, right? And it also will help me to focus my energies as far as like, working around that. And so 10 a.m. Eastern became the target opportunity time. And so we started that so evidently August 11th was the kind of the first one with episode 37. And then episode 38 is when we really start. So 3 days later, on the 14th of August, was the first one that when we started to do like almost regular daily live streams. So basically 14th, 15th, and we skipped the 16th, 17th, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and we went pretty solid throughout the fall of 2023. And then we did stop. When did we stop? We went every day until December 1st. December 1st was the last regular daily live stream because we were moving out of our roastery and had to move out of the roastery. So we ended up here. But I wanted to take a break because we needed to get out of the roastery by the end of the year. So by January 1st, we need to be out. So I needed to focus instead of being able to do this. So we took a break. And I did a couple live streams. I just did one live stream on December 23rd about the last roast of the year. And then I kind of sat around all January getting things together, trying to figure out what we're going to do and setting things up. And then I was like, one day I was finally like, we need to come back to this. Like if I let the live stream linger without doing it for longer, then I might get too much into like not doing it. So 2 months, we're 2 months into it. I'm like, oh man, we're 2 months into a hiatus. And it's like, we need to get back to it. So on February 20th, we started doing it again. And that's where we are now. And so we're here. We've gone pretty much every day or every weekday. A couple of days we skipped because, travel or whatever is happening. But the idea was to bring to you, hopefully, interesting content that will help you in your own coffee exploration. And, if you have questions or ideas about coffee, I'm definitely open to hearing about them. I mean, in many respects, I need your input to continue because, I have a lot of, I can whip up ideas, but there's definitely been mornings, and I mean mornings, like 9 o'clock at the morning. And I'm like, what are we going to do today? I gotta think of something. It's like, So, how do we pick let's see here. Anton says, I've heard the espresso and orange juice can be good. That is actually pretty good. We did that here on the live stream. And I have a video, I think, on the Spro Coffee channel. There's another channel that I have called Spro Coffee that's really for the company. And there is a video about Orangina espresso. And the idea stems from the Thai version of this drink. And then we did a live stream about it, about the same thing. I think we did. Didn't we do that here? I think we did. There's so many. We've done so many episodes. Sometimes I forget what we've actually covered. Anton says, now I like chat nice and comfy. Oh, we need to get more people. I mean, we need more people. We do need more people, right? We need more people. I would like to make some revenue off of this thing, right? And like, even though the channel is monetized, I have not taken any money from the channel yet, because, so here's what happens when you get to when you reach, so how it works with YouTube, when you reach 1,000 subscribers and you reach 4,000 hours of watch time per year, and it's a 365 day schedule, right? So it has to be, you have to be able to do 4,000 hours. You have to be able to maintain over 1,000 subscribers, and you have to maintain over 4,000 watch hours per year in order to remain in the monetization program. So the videos are the channel is monetized. And what you do is you send them your information about, whatever they need, and then you transmit to them your bank account details so that they can transmit you money. Well, I never did that part of it. I sent them the tax information they needed to know so they could tax me correctly, but I have not accepted any of the payments because, to be honest with you, if you're sitting around and you're getting like $3 a month, that's like, honestly, I was like, $3. If a deposit hits my account for $3, it means almost nothing. Not to say that it is nothing, but it just means almost nothing because like you don't really notice it, right? So I've been holding off until we reach like $1,000, because then if I get $1,000, then I can actually spend that on equipment for the channel to actually do something to help improve what we're doing here. So I haven't sent them the information. I've been waiting. And if that gives you any indication, that's how much money this channel makes right now. We're still less than $1,000 after 2 years of monetization. So let more people know, because we could use their viewership. And you could tell them just to watch the replay, Anton. You don't have to tell them to watch the live. You just tell them to watch the replay and then leave their comments there. That's fine too. Anton says, but the travel vlogs are something else. Definitely deserve more views. Oh, thanks. Thank you. I'm working on the next one, which could bring us back to Tokyo, to my friend. Now I'm embarrassed because I can't remember her name off the top of my head at the moment. But she, Maiko Miyake. Maiko owns a place called Mocha Coffee in the neighborhood of Daikanyama in Tokyo. Really awesome little tiny cafe that she runs all by herself, and she's this woman that bridges the gap between the old school master Kisaten style, where they're just working, toiling in their existence in this old school Edo style coffee shop, and she brings a lot of the new school preparation and approaches to it, while still being this kind of old school solo operator. I mean, it's amazing. She's an amazing woman. I totally have been in love with her for like 10 years now. And every time I go to Tokyo, I want to go visit her. And so finally working on that visit, I went there. I brought my friend Celia, who is a chef out in Bangkok, of all places. And she happened to be in Tokyo when I was there. So we went out for a day and had some ramen and went shopping and went to go visit Michael. So that's what I've been working on recently, because I feel like I'm back in the groove getting back in the groove with editing. I haven't really felt the groove for editing for the last couple of months. That's why the main video releases have been slower to come, because I've been like, editing is a bit of work, and so I felt maybe I was a little bit burned. Maybe, I don't know. It's a lot to do. So they are coming. They are coming soon, Anton. Hopefully Soon. I mean, all I can say is soon. I mean, I've got another video I'm trying to release for today, kind of like the end of the year recap that I shot yesterday. So I'm like, oh, I need to put that out. And good old Hoon. Yeah, Hoon's a good guy. Hoon is a good guy. Hoon's video titles are so enticing, but man, I wish he was a bit more concise. I can't. Well, I mean, it's always difficult, right? The whole live stream idea is actually difficult. There's, in many respects, it's a lot of it is stream of consciousness, right? So you kind of like even I have these problems with tangents. Like, oh, you're like, oh, squirrel, right? So it can be a little bit difficult. And and I think that and doing this kind of thing is a little bit difficult. Like, I have a little bit of a different background than a lot of people, in that I've been in broadcast and television and motion pictures for most of my existence, right? In some form or other. Like, I started out working in television and radio, and doing a little bit on camera. I never really wanted to be so much on camera. And there's always a part of me that wanted to be like loved as a celebrity. But when you meet celebrities and you see how they live, you're like, oh, that doesn't look like fun to me. Like, I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem like you never know if your friends are really your friends, or people want to talk to you because they want to talk to you, or they like you, or because of other reasons. Plus, some of them come off as very needy. Like, I've met a lot of celebrities that are like, they want to talk and like they want to be laughed at and loved because they need that. They have that's something that's missing in their lives. So they try to get that adulation all the time. And when you're working in production, you're just like, dude, we're here every day. I don't know what to tell you, man. I got to go back to work. I'm going to get fired if I don't do my job. So, but I've also had, that time, doing, stream of consciousness kind of talking kind of helps a little bit to keep some kind of focus. But I don't know. See, there it is. Tangent again. Ken says, I'm thankful for discovering this channel through Hoon's Coffee. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Ken. And Hoon's been really a great friend, and even like a kind of a YouTube mentor to me, because like he's definitely in the YouTube sphere, he's definitely more advanced than I am. He's been doing it longer. He's got more videos out. He's got greater following than I do. Like, I'm always very grateful that he invites me to his channel and gives me some exposure to his audience. So it's really like, because it is difficult to build an audience. Like, I don't know why my videos tend to have more struggling to find an audience than I think other creators that I see. And I'm like, and I think part of it's because of the content that I do, and I'm a little bit less sensational with the titling and the thumbnails, mainly because I just don't really think in that way of sensationalism. Like, I've been doing a lot of woodworking this last few months, so I watch a ton of woodworking videos. Like, I'm watching woodworking videos nonstop. And I've started now to like notice more of their titles and like, more suggestive and more like inquisitive kind of titles. I'm like, maybe I need to be doing more of that kind of thing to like, but I kind of like want to be straight with people. Just be like, this is what we're going to talk about. This is the deal, right? I don't know. But and then a lot of people like review videos, gear videos. I don't do a lot of that. I do a lot. I prefer experiential kind of videos. So, but maybe they'll change. Actually, I'm thinking about doing some changes. I've got this idea to do the $100 challenge. I don't know if I talked about this yesterday, but like the idea is that here's $100. We're going to go to this place, and what kind of coffee setup can we make for $100? I think that's going to be a future video. And then maybe do like some of these other, like I've been watching this guy, John Malecki, who was a former NFL player, and he does woodworking now. And like, he does these kind of, he's where I got the idea. And he's like, he does these, he was like $100 toolkit at Harbor Freight. Like, what can we get for $100? And I was like, well, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll do that. And then we'll give it away. Right. I think that would be kind of fun. So I got to work on that. And then, but Hoon, like I said, I say there's tangent again, right? But Hoon, I'm always very grateful that he's invited me to his channel and been very supportive of what I do and been friends with me. And I'm very grateful for that, because, he is so much, larger of a channel than I am. And I've learned a lot of lessons from him. Like, I'll be frank, like I told him this myself, like, like because we were talking one day about like channel revenue. And I was like, well, there's a website out there that can, if you punch in the YouTube channel name, it'll tell you the projected revenue. And I was like, and I punched in Hoons. I was like, oh my God, really? I was like, that much money? So I called him up. I was like, hey man, I was reading this website. Is this true? He's like, oh no, dude, that's totally not true. And what it was is that he was telling me that like the numbers on those sites are kind of inflated because they don't, whatever algorithm they're using doesn't discriminate between shorts and long form. And the way that a YouTuber gets paid for shorts is extremely different than long form. Like if your video is not getting like 90 million views or some crazy amount of money, saying some crazy, or 9 million views in like within 30 days, you don't make anything. You make very, very like pennies on YouTube shorts. So that's why a lot of these YouTubers and shorts people are making so many shorts, because they're trying to get to those millions of views. They're trying to get that virtual or that viral kind of video, where long form pays completely different. In many respects, it can pay a lot better, but it only pays a lot better if you get views. So when your videos are getting 126 views, hey, you're not getting a lot of money. No matter how high your CPM is, 126 views still like, right? So when I asked him that, he was like, oh, no, man, it's so much less. And so what he was telling me is that he does a lot of shorts that do fairly well. But he was telling me that it kind of hurts the channel in some respects, because you get a lot of people that will subscribe to the channel from your shorts. And evidently in the shorts mindset, the short viewer mindset, the same mindset that watches a lot of TikTok, they may subscribe just as kind of a like button, but not really watch your long form. So if you have these shorts guys and they don't watch your long form, well, you need more long form watching to make solid revenue. And so so that's part of the reason, like I'll do a little bit of shorts every once in a while, but I don't really focus on shorts mainly because I don't really have the attention span to do the shorts, because it's just too short, I guess. But also it's like there's a bit of work to be done, but if the return isn't very good, and of course if you're able to do viral videos, you can do very well. Like my niece, my 14-year-old niece, she just started a YouTube channel in July, and she did one video that she got like 120,000 views. And I was like, holy moly, that's impressive. Like she's doing very well with her channel. Like she's going to eclipse my channel subscriber count soon. She's been doing it less than a year. Like she was like, Uncle, I'm going to pass your subscriber number soon. I was like, oh, great. That's awesome. I'm still happy. I'm very happy. Don't get me wrong. Anton says, I found this channel because I was looking for videos on B75 brewers. Oh, all right. Excellent. That is a nice brewer. I do like that. I need to get more filters for that B75. And Anton says, by the way, the 3D printed single basket dosing funnel. Oh, yes. You'll have to maybe put in where did you get, is that something on Thingiverse, or is that something you designed? I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember. And Dylan says that shorts help my channel. Okay, awesome. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like evidently Hoons was telling me that his subscriber count is much larger because of the shorts. But I would like to have more long form views. Because I love the videos, the travel videos, the experience videos, and the people videos that we make. That's what I love doing. I really enjoy that. That's really what I would like more people to see. And hopefully in the coming year, more people will get to see it. And, the nice thing is at least I work in coffee, so I'm not totally beholden to YouTube. That's always a positive thing. Marco says, I understand the stress about coming up with an interesting topic for the day, but my favorite part of these streams are the hangout and chat. All right. Well, we can always do that. I can always talk too much. Coffee Cove is with us. What's going on, man? How are you? I also learned about this channel through Hoons and also Dylan's channel through Hoon. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, Anton says you can find the funnel easy by Googling free on printable. Yeah, because you know what? I recently got, a friend of mine, Brian, gave me a Creality V3 SE printer. And I've been printing a ton of stuff for Festool, like for my workshop. I'm like, I'm printing this, I'm printing that, I'm printing. And then I came to a point where, like, now my brother's been printing for a while, several years. So I started having printing issues. Like, it's not sticking to the bed, it's sliding across the bed, it's reprinting, it's totally like mucked up right now. And I have no idea. So I had to have him come over and I was like, dude, I need you to look at this, because you can look at this with like experienced eyes. Like I'm totally in the, I've been doing this for like 3 weeks, so I have no idea what I'm looking at, right? So he's looking at, oh yeah, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to level the bed, you need to check your Z angles. I'm like, okay, all right. And he sent me a file. He's like, print this out, and then you can like see where the levels are, and then look on your like your bed leveling software or test, and then you can see how to adjust the Z angles. I was like, all right. It sounds very complicated. I think I'm going to go do some woodworking right now. So that was like 2 days ago. So now I'm going to like, so we're working on it. So once I get that back and rolling, then I can like get this thing from Printables and print that out. You should try it. Then I would get a nice 41 millimeter temper on Amazon through though. Oh, nice. Okay. 41 millimeter temperature. And Anton's got to go. All right, man. Have a good one. Happy New Year to you. All right. Yeah, I guess that's probably a good reminder. We should get going because I need to get ready. I got a lot of stuff to do before the holiday comes here. I know some of you are almost on top of the holiday. Keone and the rest of the crew out there in Asia are, it is almost midnight. So happy 2025 to you. And then Anton's out in Europe, so happy New Year's to you. And then for the rest of you guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you being here on the regular. And if you're just joining for the first time, always awesome. If you're just watching on the replay, thank you very much for watching. Always good to see you. Come join us on the live stream if you actually have the time. I know it's a little bit strange for some people, but yeah. So as the year ends, my heartfelt thanks to your joining us here on the live stream and watching the videos on the channel. It's greatly appreciated. I really enjoy spending the time with you guys pretty much every day or in every video. And there's going to be more to come that hopefully you'll enjoy. But if you do have ideas or suggestions or thoughts, put them in the comments down below. I'm very open to listen to them. I do read all the comments at some points. It has reached a kind of a point where it's more difficult for me to view the comments on a daily basis, but I do try to sit down at least once a week to go through them all and try to answer as much as I possibly can. So that's a good sign. So thank you very much for tuning in, and back again next year. Oh, you couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. Back in next year in 2025 with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. So until then, Coffee Cove, Maku, Kent, Amiel's with us. Good to see you. Anton, Mom, Dylan, all of you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you next year. Oh, where's my switch? There it is.